What Russia has now is not a fleet, it is rather a flotilla. And when it was a fleet, it was one of the most powerful fleets in the Black Sea. Will we continue to sink their ships? I have not the slightest doubt. But there is one important detail. A war on the seafront is not related to a war on land. The fate of this war will be decided on land.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center and NGO Euro-Atlantic Course, and I'm your host, Myroslava Yaremkiev. At the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation had a numerical advantage over the Ukrainian Navy. However, now Russian ships do not dare to enter the northwestern part of the Black Sea because they are restrained by Ukrainian coastal missiles and numerous mines. The Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Federation itself suffered serious losses as a result of a series of Ukrainian strikes, and there are no longer any safe areas for the fleet in the Black Sea. Russia is in a uniquely vulnerable position on the seafront, unable to replace lost ships with vessels from other navies, since Turkey, which controls the straits between the Black and Mediterranean seas, banned warship passage in February 2022. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the expulsion of Russian warships from the Black Sea and the shift in Ukraine's naval tactics, which prompted the world to reconsider the concept of primary naval striking forces. If you want to learn more about the subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Military experts believe that Ukraine won the battle for the Black Sea. However, it will be some time before the full implications of this victory become clear for the current war and for modern naval warfare more broadly. Ukraine's success against a superior fleet raises questions about the relevance of conventional surface ships. It also serves as a warning for future naval engagements, highlighting the vulnerability to attack faced by those lacking sufficient tactics and defense systems, as demonstrated by Russia. More on that, please welcome military and political commentator of the information resistance group, Oleksandr Kovalenko.
Indeed, now we can observe a unique situation in the Black Sea when a country that does not have a navy wins a naval battle against a country that has one, or rather had its navy. Because what Russia has now is not a fleet, it is rather a flotilla. And when it was a fleet, it was one of the most powerful fleets in the Black Sea. But Ukraine managed not only to counter Russian aggression in the Black Sea, but also to actually put its naval component in a stalemate. Using unmanned boats, light maneuverable, but deadly, Ukraine forced the Russians to leave the northwestern sector. This happened almost as early as 2022, when the first anti-ship missile systems were used, such as the Ukrainian Neptune and the Harpoon, provided by our Western partners. But after all, the Russians tried to keep a safe distance from the Ukrainian coast, from the places where anti-ship missile complexes were located. For some time, they managed to control part of the Black Sea, being at such a safe distance. And in 2023, they said that they were breaking the grain agreement, and once even managed to stop a civilian ship to inspect what they were transporting there. It was an act of, let's say, illegal aggression, but it was only once. After that, unmanned boat attacks began in 2023, regular attacks on Russian warships. It became dangerous for them to be in the open Black Sea. After some time, it became dangerous for them to be even in Sevastopol, because other means of destruction were used together with the crew boats. For example, cruise missiles Storm Shadow were used to destroy ships that were undergoing repairs in dry docks, like, for example, near Sevastopol. when a large amphibious ship of Project 775 Minsk was destroyed, and also a submarine of Project 636 Varshavyanka and Rostov-on-Don. Then a number of other objects were hit, including the headquarters of the Black Sea Fleet in Sevastopol, etc. Such a complex impact of the sea and air components made the Russians flee from Sevastopol to Novorossiysk. But they won't be safe even in Novorossiysk. Now we see how objects such as large amphibious ships or corvettes, patrol ships, boats, etc., are worked on near Crimea. This particular component is destroyed, but in some time, the component located in Novorossiysk will also be destroyed, because our unmanned boats are constantly evolving. They increase the cruising range, improve their maneuverability and speed, and upgrade the characteristics of the combat unit. They have a more stable connection and control channel from the operator with just the back. All this affects our ability to destroy the Russian fleet even in Novorossiysk. It is not for nothing that in 2023, late in 2023, information appeared that they would not only move ships from Sevastopol to Novorossiysk, but also consider the option of placing Russian warships in Abkhazia, Sukhumi. But I will say that Abkhazia is not a safe zone for these ships either, because our unmanned boats, after some evolution and improvement of their characteristics, will be able to increase the cruising range, so even Abkhazia won't be a problem. Therefore, today Russians have the only way out: to flee to the Caspian Sea, take everything to the Caspian Sea through internal waters. But they're not going for it yet, because it would be a total shame. However, they've been in such a shameful position since 2022.
Although Ukraine's success at sea does not mean the end of the war, it gives Kyiv several important advantages, including political and psychological. In addition, the fact that Russia was forced to move its ships away will not allow the enemy to conduct an amphibious landing. So it became somewhat safer in the coastal regions of Ukraine. Another advantage is the complication of logistics for Russia. Now it's more difficult for Moscow to supply Crimea. The ships risk being under the fire of Ukrainian troops. Also, the Russian Federation now often closes the Crimean bridge. Colonel and military expert Petro Chernyk will talk more about that.
Let's find out what the Russians had. Indeed, it was a fairly powerful maritime state in the Black Sea waters. At least up to 5 Project 636 Varshavyanka submarines, which can use specialized 3M14 caliber missiles at a depth of up to 50 meters. They are very dangerous, it's almost impossible to chase them at sea, but we have confirmed data of the destruction of such a boat in a dry dock. Next, Russia had a powerful, mighty cruiser, the Moskva, which we sank back in April 2022. In terms of the level and quality of organization, this operation can definitely be compared to such historical cases as the sinking of the Yamato, the largest battleship of all times and nations in World War II, and the sinking of the Tirpitz battleship. Since then, it's been the first large tonnage sinking of a cruiser. Its displacement is over 10,000 tons, which is very serious. And as of now, more than 20 objects of various types of application have been destroyed, ranging from large amphibious assault ships of Project 775 to the latest case of a missile boat that could have up to 8 launches of those 3M14 caliber missiles on board. And now we have the means to attack directly the base in Sevastopol and Feodosia. This is primarily the Storm Shadow. Let me remind you that the diameter of the Crimean Peninsula from north to south is about 250 kilometers, plus the buffer zone of the occupied territory, another 100, which equals 350 kilometers. The Storm Shadow can operate in special configurations even up to 500 kilometers. At the moment, the Russians are forced to withdraw almost their entire fleet to the base of Tuapse, Novorossiysk, and even to the coast of Abkhazia. But there is a nuance. There are no full-fledged repair bases there, such as those in Sevastopol. Why do repair bases matter? Because when a ship launches rockets, the gas jet mixture exerts enormous pressure on the components and mechanisms. All this has to be endlessly repaired. Our surface systems performed brilliantly. I mean Magura and Sea Baby. Their operational range is within 700 kilometers, the entire length of the Black Sea. The entire length of the Black Sea in its longest part is a little more than 1,100 kilometers, so the operational capacities of these boats are very good and quite sufficient. Plus, we understand that Russian ships, even the most modern, because that last ship that was damaged, Project 22800 Vasily Bykov, had a special twin gun on board based on a large caliber machine gun Vladimir of 14.5 by 114 caliber and the corresponding radar system, but wasn't able to see such an unmanned system. So, what's the general conclusion? A country that does not have a full-fledged navy has definitely reached parity with a country that was considered perhaps the best after the United States of America. Moreover, the northwestern part of the Black Sea water area is completely closed to them. They are now controlled by both unmanned system and an excellent AGM-84 Harpoon missile. By the way, the most massive, more than 7,500 of them have been produced, and our Ukrainian Neptunes are 260. The total result: certainly not a fleet but a flotilla, definitely does not present any strategic parity and will no longer present. Will we continue to sink their ships? I have not the slightest doubt. But there is one important detail. A war on the seafront is not related to a war on land. The fate of this war will be decided on land. There is really a moral aspect of lowering the status of the Russian Federation as such, and there are results. According to the results of the last year, the Russians lost their second place in the world in terms of arms sales on world markets. France overtook them. In fact, the purchasing potential, not even the purchasing potential, but the Russian Federation's potential to sell arms and weapons sales have halved. And this is definitely thanks to the fact that we have shown such a brilliant result in this particular theater of operations.
You've been watching the special project of Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian War, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!